Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I am coming to you from next door in my office slash streaming room that I have over here. This used to be an in-person store that I've turned into a streaming room, and I am in the process of revamping it for a big plus show that I have coming up in a couple days. But I wanted to let you guys know why today's video is going to be a little bit different. This is what's currently going on in my office. Hopefully you guys can see here. It is a electrician here fixing our breaker boxes. We have one breaker box for our whole little building in the front here, and it keeps popping, and so they're adding an additional breaker box upstairs so that we can have a little bit more electricity running through the currents of this very old house. So I am here next door, but what that means is I'm not able to do the video that I had originally planned to have scheduled for today. This was a last moment. I was told yesterday that the electrician might be coming yesterday, and then he came today, and today was my filming day. And so unfortunately I'm not able to be over in my office. He's drilling through concrete walls and running cables and just doing all kinds of stuff, and I can't really be over there right now. So unfortunately I'm over here, which means the regularly scheduled video, which was going to be about bundling, because I have gotten so many requests to talk about bundling, how I do it, how I utilize the shipping profiles, how I make sure that I'm shipping in the right service, how I go about making sure buyers pay, how do I do the auctions versus the buy it now, lots of questions around that space. And unfortunately I wanted to do kind of a hands-on, I was going to run a test show, I was going to show you the whole details and stuff, and I just can't do that today. So I apologize. That was kind of what was supposed to be here today, because I wanted to give you guys something really good, quality, informational, since last week we took a week off, which if you are new to my channel, just so you know, every couple of weeks, about every 5 or 6 weeks or so, I usually take about a week off. It's kind of been my trajectory for the last year since I've been doing YouTube. So moving forward, if you ever see me skipping a week, it will be a post on my page just letting you know, hey, hope you guys have a great, week. I'll see you guys next time, and I'll try to post something relevant to what's going on in my life at that moment. And then I will usually see you guys the next week with a great video that I have lots of energy to put into and focus on. But unfortunately, my plans are derailed. So you guys probably can't hear it, but there's banging and clanking going on behind me. Hopefully you can't hear it. So just not going to be great to film over there, unfortunately. So with that said, and I would do it here, but my Wi-Fi isn't 100% over here, and I just don't want to be risking it. He's also doing stuff with electricity, and so if he cuts off my router and then I have no internet and I get caught up while I'm filming, it'll just be a whole mess. So let's pivot and talk about something else. So we're going to talk about 2 topics today. It's going to be just kind of a sit and powwow with me so I can publish a video and we can have a face-to-face check-in. But I have 2 things I want to kind of bring up to you. So the first one is going to be about just reselling, just the life of a reseller, right? I want to just chat with you guys a little bit about what's on my mind. Maybe it can be relatable to you. Maybe it's some things that you either need to hear or haven't heard in a while, or just some things for you to ponder as well. And then the second thing is I want to just briefly cover shipping. I have a friend who was recently asking me about some shipping stuff and if I had a video for shipping, and I had mentioned I did. So I shared it so that they could share it with the person who was asking them about it. But I found it interesting that a lot of people find this video that I'll go ahead and put on a cue card up here. You guys can click on it and watch it later. It is my shipping video, and I feel like it does a pretty good job breaking down the shipping. In fact, I actually haven't watched it. I probably should have watched it before I started filming this video. I haven't watched it since I've published it, but I think it does a good job of breaking it down. So watch that video, let me know what you think. But I wanted to just kind of talk about a few little shipping things that are just little tips and tricks that I can kind of blah to you, and hopefully it is helpful. Let's go ahead and just brain dump a little bit. I wanted to talk to you guys about kind of what's in my head. I had a idea to make this video a whole video on its own, but I decided against it because I didn't want to come off as complainy or ranty. I think there's so many resellers who make videos about just kind of the struggles and the frustrations, and I get that, and I make those videos sometimes too. It is part of it, but I try to more sprinkle them into videos that still have a lot of tips and takeaways. I really hope you guys can hear that. All right, we'll be back when that stops. That is the sound of them drilling through cinder block concrete walls. That is what the front of this house was actually made out of. Most of the parts of the house have these cinder block concrete walls. So that was that sound. That is actually a perfect segue into what I'm trying to talk about, which is just to recap what I was saying. I like to give the tips and
gosh.
I try to bring the tips and the tricks inside of my videos, practical, tangible, takeaway advice that you can apply directly into your reselling business. With that said, I am a very particular person. Things can be very triggering for me. I am a millennial. I am just turned 36, and I fall into a very specific demographic of people I feel as having a lot of overall not great life satisfaction. There was this message really pushed into our brains of this, you need to be a good student so that you can graduate and get into a good college, and then you're going to go to a college and you're going to get a degree and you're going to go have this job, and then life is going to present itself to you, that we would have all of these opportunities. And unfortunately, that's just not the way it went. Whether you are older, younger, or my age and you agree or disagree, that's up to you. I could care less, quite honestly. It is just the way that I feel as someone who's my age, and people who I know that are also my age. There's this kind of struggle with actually getting our feet on the ground and actually being able to progress in life. With that comes some unhappiness in life and triggers and things that are a little bit more in life. And me, as a knowingly hypersensitive, very particular person who has a lot of coping issues and things like that, it can be really challenging when things like this present itself to me, and it throws me off. And that is just my life, in general. I can be going out and sourcing for the day and then hit crazy traffic and see people texting while they're driving and not really going when the light's green, and I'm just kind of confused why we're all okay with sitting in traffic. And then I'll get to my office and I'm just so frustrated, right? And it derails the other parts of my day. And it's different for everybody. Traffic is a big one for me. That's why I brought it up. But all kinds of stuff can be triggers for me. Just incompetence, not really thinking about all the other people in the world, frustrations, news, sad stories I hear, just things can just make me feel blah. And it causes me to not love doing my job as a reseller. I don't have a job that I can go clock into, and whether I'm happy or sad, I just kind of do it, and I get paid because I'm simply there by the hour. My physical body being in a location is getting me money. That's not the way it is. When I get to my office, just because I'm here doesn't mean I'm making or generating money, right? I have to put in the steps to organize all of this stuff, list it. I've got to make sure that it's all processed and good to go, that pages aren't ripped and colored on, and plush don't have stains hiding behind, an arm, and I missed it and sell it to somebody and I have a customer service complaint. So I've got to make sure that I'm the one that's, doing all of the work, putting my foot in front of the other and taking the steps into being a productive reseller. So I just wanted to tell you guys that sometimes that is a really normal experience that not just people are experiencing, but resellers really struggle with, because we don't have a boss telling us what to do. We have to be motivated and consistent regardless of how we're feeling, whether it's a sad day, happy day, a good sourcing day, a terrible sourcing day, or something happens in our life. We don't have paid vacations. Most of us don't put enough money to the side to say, oh, if there was a family emergency or I needed to take a couple days or a week off, I would be okay and my business would still stay afloat. That's not always in place for a lot of us as resellers. So just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm no different when it comes to that. I don't want to make a whole video ranting about that, but I just wanted to brain dump that to you. And if you relate, great. If not, that's not for you, it's fine. But that's just me and where I am. And so sometimes I come into my business and I have a really hard time pulling out the camera, setting up my listing station, and taking photos, doing the thing that I know that I need to do in order to make the money I need to make. And where I tend to see this the most is when I have gaps in my week where, especially last week, right? I didn't publish a video, which is what I want. I needed sometimes a week just to refresh and recenter. And I had a lot of extra time last week, whereas opposed to taking about a day to a day and a half of filming and editing throughout those day and a half, I didn't have to do that. And so it gave me all this time to do stuff that I could do in my business. I could get organized. I could make space for new inventory. I could list inventory. I could list on eBay, which is something I don't do a lot of. For those of you guys that know, I'm primarily a whatnot seller. I do sell a little bit on eBay, but I don't prioritize it at all, really. And just making moves in my business that are going to propel me to growth and scaling and productivity overall. I don't always take the initiative to do those things. And it's because I sit there and I literally will sit in my office. I did it earlier today. I was disassociating. I'll sit here like in my office and I'll scroll on my phone, right? I'll get on TikTok, I'll get on Instagram. I will do stupid stuff. Like I'll check my Fidelity account. I will like, get on Reddit, like just dumb stuff like that I shouldn't be doing, things I shouldn't be spending my time on. And I'm actually not wanting to scroll. I don't want to be on TikTok. I don't want to click in and start doing the work inside of my business. I'm disassociating. I'm literally doing the opposite of productivity. I am being stagnant and I am just not doing what I need to do. And so most of you guys can probably relate with that. Like you have days where you just kind of sit there and stare at the wall and 20 minutes later you realize, what am I doing? And you have to get up and physically like stand up, force yourself to go grab something and list it or do whatever it is, the task that you need to do, right? Sometimes it's just going to the post office or running a couple errands or making some phone calls or doing some accounting or whatever it is that you kind of like need to be doing that you're not doing. You got to sometimes like check yourself and go, oh wait, I'm not doing it, right? I'm kind of doing it, but I'm not fully doing it. And where you find yourself is in years from now, you look back and you're like, why isn't my reselling business like growing? Like, why am I still making the same amount of money? Or It's like, well, when life's getting more expensive and you're not doing more work or you're not making more money overall, you're going to always find yourself like in the same spot. So it might feel like you're doing more, but overall, when life gets more expensive, which I mean, in the last, 3, 4, 5 years, we can really attest to that, which is my reselling career. I've noticed that I will scale and grow and make more money, but it's not enough. I'm not actually making more. I'm making enough to live with the times. 2020 reselling was different than 2022 reselling. 2022 reselling is different than 2024 reselling. And even from 2024 just to now in 2025, I feel like it's a totally different landscape. So if you're just getting into it, just keep that in mind. Like you have to grow with the times, but you also have to outgrow the times. You need to grow faster than what's happening around you. And so that's that dedication and that push and that persistence and that like drive to actually do these things. So long story short, that's sometimes things I deal with. I'm sure you guys do as well. And that is why I take breaks sometimes. I don't want to get burned out. I want to give myself time. But give yourself a break and then bounce back with 100%, because you're going to find yourself in a position like me where I'm just going like, I'm just like turning my wheels because I'm not doing anything. Like I'm not doing enough. I'm working. This is another one. I'll say this real quick. I'm working, right? I'm working. I'm at work. Are you though? Like, what are you really working on? Because I know there's resellers out there who have it down to a science. They work like 3 or 4 hours a day. Not even necessarily 7 days a week. You know, they work like 4 or 5 days a week and they can fit everything into like 3 or 4 hours because they're so hyper focused and productive in those 3 or 4 or 5 hours that they can get done in 4 hours what it takes most of us to do in like 2 days. And I say most of us, like you're not alone. I'm not alone in this. I don't feel guilty or shame saying all of this out loud because I know that there are half of you guys listening right now who agree. And if you do and you're brave enough, put it in the comments. Let me know what your struggles are. Like, where do you drop the ball in your business? Where is it that you are like lacking and that you know that you need to like pick up the pace? Maybe putting it out there and throwing a little bit of it out in the world will reflect back on you and make you a little bit more accountable, because we all need a little bit more accountability in our lives. And yeah, it is what it is. So that's my brain dump on reseller stuff. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit just about like shipping stuff. Just wanted to like throw a few things out there. With shipping in general, outside of Whatnot, no matter what platform you're selling on, there are multiple options, right? You have the post office, you have UPS, you have FedEx, and then obviously you have like freight services, but UPS, FedEx, post office, those are like the main ones that we're all going to basically use and need to be familiar with. Now, UPS and FedEx kind of have their own separate things. They're very similar, but you know, they are a little different. They have different dimensions and weights and services and stuff that they use. And most services don't use those. When you sell on eBay, you can sometimes choose UPS because it is often cheaper than the post office. However, most platforms like Poshmark and Etsy and Mercari and Whatnot, they kind of, I feel like, lean more towards the USPS, right? Priority mail, ground advantage, media mail, some first class letter envelopes, things like that. What I just want to say on that aspect is go ahead and type in, regardless of what platform you're trying to sell in, go to YouTube, find a video about shipping, just in general. A modern one, not one from a year ago, not one from 2 years ago, modern, like 2025, preferably in the last couple of months, okay? Watch the video, absorb the information. It's probably right if it has a lot of views and they're a reputable channel. They have like a reputation, they have subscribers and stuff like that. Watch that, okay? Watch a general shipping video so it can break it down. I'm not going to break it down here, but just watch it. After that, Figure out which service you plan on using the most. If you are selling clothes and jewelry and hard goods, you're probably going to be using a lot of Priority and Ground Advantage. Those are going to be your two main. So you can also go to the USPS website and just read the articles. Read what qualify for Ground Advantage. Read what qualify for Priority Mirror. What's the difference? What do you need to know? Find some resources. You do not need me or really a multitude of people to understand the basics of how the shipping service works. So I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. If you're new to reselling, get the basics down, okay? Then, depending on the platform you're trying to sell, learn about the shipping on that platform. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this over because I'm going to probably find a little screen share of Whatnot's shipping policy, and I'm just going to put it here. I'm just going to flip through it. You can find this too. I'll link it in the description below. Click on it and just read through it. It's hard, I know, sometimes to read articles, but Whatnot has really good help articles. I say this all the time. It is one of the few things they do really well, which is help articles. So here's the linked help article and just read through it. Read what you're going to be selling. Think about what you're going to be selling and think about how this shipping setup works for you. As far as Whatnot goes, if you're going to be shipping Ground Advantage and Priority, this is how I would set up my shipping settings. This is how I set up my shipping settings, even though I know that I'm mostly shipping media. But when I do stuffed animal shows, like you see behind me, which I'm doing in a couple days, which if you're interested in a stuffed animal show, this Friday, I believe it's the 27th, and it's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Whatnot. You can come and hang out. I've got so many good plushies. I am just swimming in plush over here. But I use these settings regardless, right? So I have it set up in here. Let me do another screenshot for you. Let me put a little effort into this video. This is going to be another little screen recording I'll stick in here. So here in my shipping settings, which you're going to find by clicking on your little profile down in the bottom corner, and in the middle for Android, it says Seller Hub now. I click on that, and then the top three little lines in the corner is going to take you to your actual profile within your Seller Hub. And if you scroll down, you'll see where it says shipping. So that's what I'm clicking on. This is where the shipping settings are. And this is how I have my settings set up. It is going to be, if you click on where it says domestic shipping, I believe is what it says. I have it set up as no letter envelope or anything like that. And then it says 1 to 5 pound packages. And the only options are Priority and flat rate. There is no ground option for the 1 to 5, even though many times a ground label does print for those types of packages as well. They do ground. I've seen ground print for under 5 pounds. I'm not sure why it doesn't give you the option, but I have Priority clicked, okay? Because I don't do flat rate. So I have Priority clicked. But then this is where I think a lot of people get messed up when it says, so domestic shipments over 5 pounds. What do you want your service to be? Do you want Priority, ground, or flat rate? I choose ground because Ground Advantage is typically cheaper. Over 5 pounds, Priority is going to be a little bit more expensive. Over 5 pounds, Ground Advantage is going to be a little bit cheaper. Okay, so I choose Ground Advantage. Obviously, you can choose the flat rate, or you can choose Priority if you want. Most people that choose Priority, it's just because they want the packages to get to their customer ASAP. Whereas for me, I'm not selling anything pertinent or time sensitive. It's mostly just books and stuffed animals. So these aren't items that need to get to somebody in a fast, timely manner. So I just choose Ground Advantage, and I would prefer to use Ground Advantage in general because it's typically cheaper. Okay, so that's what my settings look like. Also, when you go down to the next tab, you'll see where it says buyer pays all costs, seller pays all costs, flat rate stuff. I just recommend buyer pays all cost. It's a great practice that we have on Whatnot. Most sellers have buyers paying all cost or max shipping. Very, very, very rarely do you see free shipping. Okay. So just have it set for either, buyer pays all cost, or if you want to do some max shipping options, you can do that as well. But with that said, I'm going to make a bigger in-depth video on shipping because this is just such a common question I get. But that is the basics. And I feel like if you can just understand the basics, look at what the USPS offers in their services, understand that ground and Priority are basically the same thing. They just have different pricing based on the weight of the item and the distance of the item, right? So if I'm shipping an item all the way across the country to California, it is going to be more expensive as opposed to if I was shipping it to Maryland, a state that's just right above me. So that is really the difference with Priority and Ground Advantage as far as just the service goes. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take to get to the customer and overall the cost due to that time, right? they don't have to rush and move your package really quickly, they don't necessarily, it's not going to cost them as much to get that package delivered. And then with that, like obviously there's packaging materials as well. So like priority, you can get free packing materials from the post office. There's a few different box sizes that you can use, as well as poly mailers. And so some people like to use the free materials. So they choose the priority so that they can get the faster service as well as using the free materials. But because of the items I sell, priority boxes don't really work really well for me. I could use priority boxes for some of the orders that I sell, but for the most part, I would prefer to be able to use my own size boxes and poly bags because they are very specific to like the types of book bundles I typically sell. If you're selling like a lot of individual items like clothing or again, hard goods, jewelry, things like that, and you are really able to work with the priority packaging materials, then choose priority and use the free materials. But if you're not like interested in free materials, Ground Advantage is going to be the way to go because it's often going to be cheaper for the buyer. It might take a little longer to get to them, but you have a lot more flexibility with the types of shipping materials you can use, and it is often cheaper overall. Okay, so those are like the main differences. And then is there anything else I'm missing? Oh, also like priority mail comes with like insurance on some packages, whereas Ground Advantage doesn't. And then what's another one? I feel like there's another one I'm missing. Oh, like Ground Advantage is ground. So it's going to take a truck to take you to the location that the package needs to be delivered. Whereas priority can go on planes. So you have to keep in mind like the things you're selling. Like you obviously don't want to ship like hazardous, harmful materials such as like lithium batteries in packages marked as priority, because those may go onto a plane and those are not meant to be going onto planes. They can cause damage. So keep in mind what you're selling, and then just keep in mind that that's like the mode of transportation. Like priority can go in any method, whereas ground is going to strictly be on the ground. It's never going to be into an airplane. Okay. So those are kind of like the main differences. Just kind of take those into consideration. I just wanted to like throw those out there again. I like to try to provide tangible stuff. I wanted to make a video for you guys. I obviously was just completely thrown off by having a random person in my office. I'm very particular about my space, and it is just like hurting my heart and soul that I'm even having to be over here to film this video right now. I'm not able to ship. I'm not able to put out a good video. Ugh, it's the worst. But this is how the life of a reseller goes. Sometimes there are just like little hiccups and things, and you have to just pivot and try to make the best you can. I spent a lot of time over here organizing. I'm actually setting up for my plus show, like I said, and I had to kind of reorganize this room. If you've seen it from the bulk videos, you know that it got a little crazy, got a little messy, but I'm doing a really good job over here. And so I'm still being productive. I'm still putting my foot in front, like I keep saying this, but like putting one foot in front of the other. That's where I get caught up, is like there are times I'm just standing still or I'm sitting still, whatever you want to call it, but I'm not making momentum. I'm not doing the stuff that I don't want to do, right? And as a reseller, sometimes you just have to force yourself to do the things that you don't want to do. And also sometimes that means just like learning stuff. So like for those of you guys that are new to the reselling game and shipping is an issue, or an app is an issue, or you're not sure different policies and things, like I know YouTube is a great resource, but Google is also really, really incredible. And if you can learn how to like actually type your questions into Google in a way that Google can really understand them, direct and simple, they will give you some really good like articles and things, especially if you put the word whatnot in your question. Whatnot help articles will pop up, and those I highly recommend. They are really, really, really helpful if you just take the time to read through them. Okay, so that's gonna be pretty much it. I apologize that this is just kind of a is what it is video. Those are my updates. I've got a show on Friday, a show on Saturday, and I'm just organizing and cleaning and doing the hard stuff and moving a lot of junk around. You'll see in this video that I'm actually recording for this plus show. Some of the stuff I came across as I was cleaning, like bins of video games and things like that, just stuff that I just want to be like, what are you thinking? You spent money on this stuff. Why is it just sitting in a box? Why do you have 4 Wii consoles? That's a great question. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go. I'll catch you guys next week with a more informational video. If you have any requests or things that you'd like to see next week, can you go ahead and put them in the comments? Like if there's anything that you'd like for me to make a video on next week, I will take some things into consideration. If I see multiple requests or hearts or thumbs up on certain comments, I'll take that into consideration. Next week, I was planning on doing my update video from my haul, but now I'm thinking I should do the bundling video, and I don't know. So let me know in the comments below. Do you want to see the update from where I'm at with my bulk buy? Do you want to see a video about bundling and more in depth on that? Do you want to see a whole shipping video? Do you have something else completely entirely in mind? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please consider hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing if you haven't already. It greatly helps my channel. I will see you guys next week with another reselling, whatnot, inspired related video. Thank you so much for watching and have a great week. Until then, bye.